Joey Reed, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And so you and your son Trevor, who was held captive by Russia for 3 years until he was released in 2022, have now come out and endorsed Congressman Colin Allred for his campaign to unseat Senator Ted Cruz. Why is this so important to you?
Well, there's several reasons. First of all, it's our direct interaction that we had with Ted Cruz and his failure to assist us in any way when everyone else in the Congress did, and especially all the congressmen from Texas from both parties. And it just appears to us that he's not interested in serving individual citizens in Texas. He's more interested in serving himself and maybe his PAC fund.
And so let me ask you, did you have direct contact with Senator Cruz? And if so, what did he tell you? And or was this just staff that you had contact with?
The initial calls and finally the response was from staff, and then several months later, when we were able to get in contact with Senator Cornyn, who then called us personally, spoke to us on the phone for half an hour or more, was very cordial and very supportive. After that, our representative that we had, uh, he contacted Cruz's staff again, and then they scheduled a call, and we thought it was going to be with the senator, but it wasn't. It was his staff again saying that he wouldn't be able to help us.
And did they explain why?
Their explanation is that Vladimir Putin hated him so much that if he helped us, that it would hurt our case. And I should say, we've spoken to Ted Cruz once. He called us the day my son was released and congratulated us and asked if there was anything that we needed. And we told him directly that what we needed was his help 3 years earlier, when he was the first person that we called in the government for help. And then he publicized the fact that he'd call us to congratulate us. So that was our direct contact with Ted Cruz.
And when you told Senator Cruz that, what was his reaction that, that you needed his help earlier in the process?
He reiterated the same excuse that his staff had given us 3 years earlier, that he felt that it might harm our case. And our answer to him is that many Republicans spoke out during both presidential administrations for our son and against Putin, and some of them that are far more outspoken about Putin than he is. And we encourage that, and we're very thankful for it, for especially a lot of Republicans, especially from Texas.
And so you weren't satisfied with his explanation.
Absolutely not.
And so let me ask you, what did Congressman Allred do to help?
Well, Congressman Allred was a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and quite frankly, everyone on that committee was very supportive of us. Our Congressman, August Pfluger, a Republican, was behind it with Congressman Michael McCall, and Congressman Allred was obviously on the other side, a Democrat, and then some other Democrats. I don't know if there was any other Democrats from Texas on that committee, but they all joined together, to support our resolution. Which, by the way, our second resolution, which went through their committee and into the full House, had 57 co-sponsors from both parties. And then we also had a resolution in the Senate that we proposed that Senator Cornyn introduced. And the co-sponsors for that resolution were not only Senator Cornyn, but Senator Rubio and Senator Feinstein. So you had people from the far left and the far right supporting us. The one person missing from everything was Ted Cruz.
And so let me ask you, when people hear this, what is it about this situation and your family's situation that you think is most important as it relates to this campaign?
Well, first of all, I'm a seventh generation Texan. My son and his sister are eighth generation Texans. We're proud of our history in the state. My ancestors settled here when it was Mexico, and the second colony. And it's just that we felt that our representatives, that we're always waving the flag and talking about how proud we are to be Texans. And then one of the two most powerful people in the United States from Texas refused to help us when his counterpart was exceptionally helpful. And so we want people to know that, unless you're, famous, unless you're wealthy, unless you're connected somehow, don't count on Senator Cruz to help you.
And what do you say to those who some may listen to this and say, this is just partisan? What do you say to that?
I say to that, for instance, if there had been other Republicans run against him in the primaries, especially those that we know personally, we'd have been out there cheering them on and helping them get elected also. Colin is the only person who's made it this far to go against Ted Cruz. And Colin, because we've got to know him, and he's what we consider a moderate Democrat. He's very open. He listens, and he talks with people across the party. And by the way, that House Affairs Committee it's one of the few committees where the people from both parties work together there, because most of the time they're looking at foreign entities as our enemy, not each other. And the committee that Cruz is on in the Senate, it's not that way. They're still pointing at each other instead of pointing at Putin and at China and other adversaries.
And I know it's been some time, obviously, since Trevor has been home, but just what was it like for 3 years for the angst that you and your family experienced?
It was a roller coaster. We felt like we were fighting not only the Russians, but we were fighting with the United States government. We were fighting with the media to get attention. Like I mentioned earlier, the United States government will help you quickly if you're very wealthy, you're famous, a celebrity, or you're connected to someone high up in our government. Otherwise, if you don't get media attention that could affect the next election, it's difficult to get things moving, to get them to support you. And that's what we did. And I want to thank you and all the local reporters and then all the national reporters that picked up on our story. And then it really got the ball rolling especially after the election. And finally got enough interest to where we could get the administration to move and take action that they don't do often.
And I have to ask, how is Trevor doing today? And if you don't mind, what is he up to these days?
Well, you may know this, but after he came home from Russia and he recovered, he secretly went to Ukraine and joined the Ukrainian military and fought against the Russians and was wounded there. And then we were able to get him out of there before the Russians could get a hold of him. And then he recovered, and now he's going to school in university, and he's doing well. And we're just so proud of him. And the rest of our family is just so relieved to have that weight lifted off of our shoulders. He was wrongfully detained. I just want to say that we had video and experts at the trial. I was there for 14 months in Moscow, and it was evident to everyone there, Russian and American, that it was a complete government hoax by the FSB to hold him, to try and get something for him. And anyway, it was a nightmare. And we're so thankful to a man named Jonathan Franks, who helped us out of the goodness of his heart and used his experience, and then all the media, and then again all the government officials who encouraged the administration, both administrations, to bring him home. And of course, the Biden administration is the one who did it.
And just to follow up, I know you said that Trevor is studying. What does he hope to do next after his studies?
Well, interestingly enough, he's currently majoring in like foreign affairs, and I think he would like to work for the State Department eventually. He has experience as a presidential guard. He had a high-level secret clearance. He's worked with different diplomatic agencies, and then he served as a defense contractor in Afghanistan after his time in the Marine Corps. And he speaks fluent Russian now, so he's got a lot of things going for him that would benefit him in the State Department. And of course, that remains to be seen. He's still got a couple of years to finish his school. So,
is there anything else that I didn't ask you about that you'd like to share?
We just very supportive of Colin Allred. We've met him a couple of times, and he's seems like a very nice man. And we're just tired of extremism from both parties. that are catering to what they feel are their primary voters so they can be reelected. And we, we lean more towards people from both parties that are more moderate, and that are still willing to do the old school thing and talk to the other party. Because if they don't, nothing ever gets accomplished in Congress, which is where we've been for many years. And so we need more people like Colin Allred who will work with the other side to come to a compromise and something that, both sides can live with, instead of this all or nothing mentality that we've grown into.
Joey Reed, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack.
You take care.
You too.